Hi, today I'm going to talk about some cheat cartridges for the original Nintendo Game Boy. Cheat cartridges do as the name suggests. They allow you to have infinite lives or jump levels or be invincible in games. And so, well, it's technically cheating, but these were very popular and have been for a long time. So I wanted to talk about them in relation to the original Game Boy. So let's get started. What I'm mostly going to cover is the Action Replay, or the Pro Action Replay as it's called. In the late 1990s, its name was changed in North America, at least, to the Game Shark, so you probably know it as Game Shark. But I'm going to cover the first version for the Game Boy, and then we'll, not on camera, but through a video, I'm going to show how it's used. All right, so let's get started. So the Action Replay was actually a device first put out in the 1980s by a UK-based company named Datel. And the Game Boy version was not the first version of the Action Replay. They had it. They put it out for the Commodore 64 and Commodore Amiga and probably other home computers at the time. And actually have a couple other models of the Action Replay. So this is an actual UK version for the Sega Mega Drive. And a Game Gear version also came out. So Datel put these out for first home computers and then consoles and portables in the 1990s as well. And then that spread to the mainstream consoles like PlayStation, etc. So, well, before I do the Game Boy one, I'll show you quickly what you get with the the Sega versions of the Action Replay. Comes in a colorful box like this. Usually has an instruction manual, but I don't have that. And you just put in some kind of RAM hacks or cheat codes, and you get more power, more levels, more energy, and more fun. This one that I have, which has a £50 price tag from Virgin on it, doesn't have instructions or anything, but it's pretty simple to use. You plug it into the Mega Drive, you plug a Mega Drive cartridge on top, and then there's switches here to turn on the codes, turn off the codes, or set a trainer menu. The trainer menu lets you actually search for your own cheat codes iteratively while playing the game. And it's quite finicky on the Sega versions for a few different reasons. One reason is that it's not so clear how to cheat or how to search for things. The menu system for this one and for the Game Gear, they have like, are you searching for an energy bar? Are you searching for a change or a status or something? So it's not, so clear, but the Game Boy versions are a bit clearer. Anyway, here's the Game Gear one, and you can see it's similar to in packaging to the Mega Drive one. It looks like this is the US version because it's got Game Pro and EGM, also Sega Pro. Oh, sorry, it's got official distributors in Europe, so that's, I guess, where it's from, also Australia. Kind of cool. And so here's the code book that came with the Action Replay. Actually, that's the instruction manual. So very short and very simple. You stick the game in. And I'm not going to read this. And here's the actual code book. Because these earlier versions did not have codes stored on the replay cartridge. They're just written down in the manual. And you'd have to enter these in every time you wanted to play. But it's super useful if you want to get farther ahead in Sonic or other games. And so here's actually my codes for these Game Gear games. Don't really need them now, but, well, it was really fun searching for them. That's part of the fun of this Action Replay. You can actually search for your own codes, and it's pretty cool hunting them down. Here's the Game Gear version of it. And you can see it's black, but in terms of design, it's very similar to the Game Boy one. Sorry for this whiteout here, but it has a trigger button and off-on codes on and off switch there. So I've never bought a Game Shark in the US, so all I have are like European or Japanese versions of the Action Replay. But I think the US version looked similar too in the early days. A totally neon 90s Sonic ripoff design. And so here's the original Game Boy one, the Pro Action Replay. This is version 1, I think, or at least, a really early version. And it fits into the original Game Boy like this, and you put a cartridge in the back like that. So they piggyback on each other like this, and so when you play it, it kind of hangs off the back there. So be careful not to shake it, or even worse, like bend it like this. Like on the Super Game Boy, you can't even do this because the shape of the shell kind of bends it back too far. Yeah, and then the buttons are accessible on the top. You can see it's got an on switch and a normal position as well. So that's codes off, codes on. And then this action replay button, the trigger button. And all of the action replays had this, even the Commodore 64 and Amiga ones. Why? Well, because in-game, the game plays normally, and when you press this, the action replay cartridge interrupts the game and goes to its own menu. And that's how it also takes a RAM snapshot of the game, and that's how you actually search for codes. It hunts through the original game's RAM over and over and over to find differences in things like your life energy or number of lives and so on. Okay, so yeah, that's how it plugs into this one. This is kind of oversized, so I'll use my smaller Game Boy Light model. And this one goes in the same way. It kind of shoots out even more. It's pushed a little bit there. So yeah, making contact with the action replay, the pin contacts, is a little bit tricky. So you really should clean your cartridges and your system before you use it every time. So in addition to this version 1 action replay, I also have another device by a competitor. I guess it's a kind of a copycat. It's called the Exterminator Z, and it's got pronunciation some guide right there. I think this is also called Exploder or Explorer, so it's by a different company. This one's actually pretty cool too, but still pretty limited. And the Action Replay had a few models and evolutions. The Action Replay 2, I haven't seen that. Action Replay 3, which came in a black case and was, I think, Game Boy Color compatible. That one probably was the biggest seller, I think, because that's all you see online, those black ones. And then finally, here's Action Replay 4. Pro Action Replay 4 Max is this one's name. And you don't see this very much, but this is one that I use whenever I want to like search for cheats in a Game Boy game, or even do save states, because that's what this one can do. So it's a pretty cool evolution of this whole line. So I will demonstrate this one first and show how it's kind of limited in use. Then I'll move on to the Exterminator, and then finally the Action Replay 4. Okay, so first let's have a look at the original Pro Action Replay for the Game Boy, so the version 1. This is the Japanese version, so it's full of Japanese text, and it's pretty hard to read. So kind of messy here, but here's where you can input the codes that you have written down. So the first digit 0001 deactivates or activates it, and then you can go to the code search function, which resets the game. So we have Mega Man or Rockman World loaded up, and we're going to try to do just a very simple search for infinite lives. So the basic process is you go to a stage, you hit the Action Replay button after you start, and that'll get the base level of lives, and then you hit code search again, and then it'll reset the game. And then you just do the same thing over and over. So now you have 2 lives, and we're going to just die on purpose. That'll reduce the number of lives down to 1. So next we go to search again, and we notice the number of lives has decreased. So continue the search, and here we have a screen. Has it the value that we're searching for increased, decreased? Is it different, or is it the same? So equals or not equals, or greater or less. So we search for less, and it takes a while to search through the 8K of RAM. And then in the middle of the screen, it'll show how many results it has found. And it has found F1, so nearly 255. So we repeat the process. We try again. There's many things we can do. We can search for 1 life again, or go back to 2, or go down to 0. So first we go back to 2, and the number of lives is higher than last time when it was 1. So we do the up arrow, the greater. And it's reduced down a little bit, and we keep trying again. Game start. Just repeat the process. And so this is what kids would have to do to make their own codes in games. They would have to rerun the game over and over and over. So we have 2 lives, and it's the same as before. So we hit equals. And so this eliminates values that keep on oscillating or toggling every millisecond or whatever. And so yeah, the last number of lives is 2, and so now this time we're going to go again and probably reduce those lives. So die on purpose. And now it's down to 1, so we search again. A means continue, and then so decreased. It's still a very large number, so we're going to try one more time and maybe reduce the number of lives even more. So we die once, and then die twice. Yeah, I'm sure this is not fun to look at, but this is what we would have to do to search for lives. So now our lives is down to 0, so we hit the action replay switch again, do a search, and it has decreased even more from before. So decrease, and that should really narrow it down. And yes, it's found 1 result. So we've narrowed it down to 1 RAM location, and that's pretty easy. So we go down to search results, we look at the results, and it's 1 address, 01 and 02. 02 is the number of lives, and 08C1 is the reverse address. So it's actually address C108 in RAM, which controls the number of lives. So let's enter that in the code section. So I'll just do that here. I think we'll set it to 4 or 5 lives, and it was 02, C102 was it? Forgotten. C108. All right, I think that's it. So we put in the code, and we go to start game, game start. So that's the 4th one down. And let's see, do we have infinite lives? Or at least is it set to 5 lives every time we start? Okay, well it's gone down to 4, so it's stored, boom, it's stored as 5 in the game, and then when we start the game it takes it down to 4. And as you can see, even after dying, it's still 4 lives, so that is basically an infinite lives cheat in Mega Man. So, it's pretty useful. So just keep on trying, and yep. So we have 1 code activated in the old action replay. So yeah, this is what I used, like in the late 90s or early 2000s, to cheat my way through some really annoying games like Dragon's Lair on the Game Boy. Now, there's another option, erase cartridge memory, but I don't even know what that means. But anyway, the code is still intact, so it still works. And that's the result. Okay, so once you learn the code format, you know how to change the values, at least of the number of lives or whatever. I don't know a lot about the Exterminator Z, but I'm sure people have made some information or videos or something online about the competitor. But this line, the Exterminator, was pretty cool because, well, the Game Boy version is a copycat of the action replay. but the PlayStation and Sega Saturn versions had some little special controller box with an LCD on it. So you could search for codes live while you were playing the PlayStation or Sega Saturn game. You didn't need a computer, and there was no kind of inbuilt menu on the PlayStation or Sega Saturn screen. You would search for it through this little box that was connected to the exterminator by some kind of special cable. So that was kind of cool thing about these. The action replay for the PlayStation needed I think some kind of parallel port connection to a PC, whereas the exterminator was more dedicated, had its own special interface box, which is cool. But anyway, that's this one here, the Exterminator Z. I think this one was called Explorer in the West, and so it has the same thing, normal and on switch, a reset or a test switch, and so it works the same way as the action replay. Here's the instruction manual that came with this one, and sorry, this is all these are all the Japanese versions, but that's all I have. If you have some English versions, then leave some notes in the comments about if it's any different. But it tells you how to use it, how to connect it, how the inbuilt menu works, and I'll show that very soon. Yeah, what the code format is, and also Game Boy Color codes, because I guess there's a different memory bank, so the codes were longer. Tells you how to iteratively search for code. Here's a decimal to hexadecimal conversion chart, and that's pretty much it. It was distributed in Japan by GameTech, who also imported or distributed the Game Boy Advance TV adapter way back when. Okay, getting onto the Exterminator Z, you can see the options screen. You can I think it looks like you can back up game save data and into two different banks and then load it. And you can turn sound on and off in the menu. You can erase codes and erase some data, whatever that means. And here is the version number for the Exterminator Z, branded by GameTech. And this one has a flash ROM where you can save codes like this, and you can select them on and off. And get things like infinite lives or infinite time and whatnot. And in the middle of the game, if you press the XT button, you can actually go back to this menu and you can view a memory dump of the game's RAM. It's kind of a limited range of memory addresses that you can change. You can't view the ROM, for example. And I don't think you can edit any addresses. At least I don't know how to. You can just, see I'm trying to press buttons, and it doesn't let you change anything. So it's basically just a memory viewer and memory dump, like the name says. Okay, so now we're going to do a numerical search in the Exterminator. So we go to the code search window, and it'll reset the game. And so this is Bomber King Scenario 2, or Blaster Master Boy. And we're going to try to set the timer, freeze the timer basically. So we press the Exterminator button, or the action replay button, and then hit code search, and it resets it again. So our baseline was, I think, 58 seconds, so we get a little bit lower number. Actually, it doesn't matter. When we do value search, the first one, we can search by decimal or hexadecimal, and 56 seconds, it finds 6 results. And so we go back to search and search again. search for 54 seconds, I think. So search for a value, continue the search and search for a value. In base 10, that's 54. And it finds it right away. I mean, this is very fast. So we were lucky. So here's the search results. We can edit the code in either decimal or hexadecimal. And now with the code found and activated, let's check out our timer. There, see, it just jumps to 53 seconds, 10 minutes and 53 seconds. So the number of seconds counter will never decrease with this code on. So now that we've found our working code, and here it is, we can go back to the main menu and enter it in anew. So we go back to the main menu and new codes, new game, and the name of the game is already written in because this exterminator reads the cartridge name from the Game Boy cartridge. So we do save, and well, we had to remember that code, so we enter it in ourselves, new cheat. Press select to change the text, and we type in the code name. So, infinite time. Hit start to save that. And we can edit the code or delete it or change the name. And we have to put it in ourselves. So that's what I'll do here. Now here I think I'm setting the time to 99 seconds, which is a little bit dangerous. Hit save. Start to try out the game. There's a bit of a bug there. It said on equals 25, and that's weird. That is a bug in the exterminator for sure. If you go back in and turn the code on, no, not that. Turn on the code, it says on equals 1. And there we go. 99 or 98 seconds is frozen that way. So we can see that the menu for the exterminator is also in color a little bit. And here are the options and the code search window. And now on a Game Boy Color, it allows you to search through normal Game Boy RAM or Game Boy Color RAM, because I think that has like 4 times the data size, right? And so here's just Zelda DX Game Boy Color running. Now I'm not going to do the same, code searching process for Game Boy Color games because it's exactly the same as Game Boy games. It just takes a bit longer time because it has much more RAM to search through. But yeah, when you start the game, you can still press the exterminator or action replay button to get to the menu, even on a color game. And so that's what I do here. So again, here's the memory dump window, and it's got a lot more color and shades added to it, so that's kind of nice. And it also has a Rom Bank, or sorry, a RAM Bank value. So you can change the bank because the Color Game Boy has its own WRAM, or I guess work RAM, banking scheme as well. And that's how it handles more RAM. And so you can search through, or you can at least view all the RAM in the whole Game Boy Color. And yeah, here's the same menu as before, just with a little bit more color. All right, my Action Replay 4 came with a lot more documentation and posters and things like that. This was distributed in Japan by a company named Karat, and I don't really know who that is. But they have a lot of pamphlets and flyers here, so I'll show that right now. So the Action Replay 4, it's got exposed contacts here, and it's not so well built, but yeah, what can you do? It was built down to a price. So it's got the same switch and a nice big button here to freeze or search for codes here. So let's get into some of the documentation anyway. So I think this is just a catalog for Karat in the early 2000s. So, or it's late 1990s actually. So you can see the different models of Action Replay that they have here. For the PlayStation, for the Game Boy, and so that's their version 3. N64, Sega Saturn, and a simulation of the menus. So you have some kind of, wow. Okay, and also PlayStation, the CDX, and these are all the games that are compatible with it. And also not the non-CDX, the actual one that fits into the back of the PlayStation. Yeah, so here's the Pro Action Replay 3 model that seemed to have been very popular, and probably the reason this is the most popular is that it came out at the same time as Pokemon. And so the reason I'm making this video basically is that when searching for Action Replay information for the Game Boy, all I ever see is really quick, shaky videos of people showing how to cheat and how to get extra characters or whatever in Pokemon, and that's all you can find. So that's a bit frustrating. There's no video about just generally how to use the device, how to search, and its features. So people focus on this thing and the Pokemon a bit too much. Other devices were like a light version. I guess it means no searching. There's a one that maybe just contains cheats. You can't search either. They also have various other ones that allow you to back up the battery RAM. And here are code CDs for the CD-based systems. Yeah, just a whole bunch of accessories and cheat devices. Yeah, so here's the memory backup one for the Game Boy. Here's a virtual memory stick. So these are all Daytel devices basically. And you can get a subscription to code books. So here's a worm light for the Wonder Swan, and AC adapter, Neo Geo Pocket Link cable, N64 S video cable. So a lot of third-party devices that in the early 2000s. Although I guess this is late 90s. So here's a fold-out poster from Karat. You can actually pick up these posters in game shops or bookstores. I guess this was their promotional leaflet. So here's Gamecube Action Replay and the Pro Action Rocky cheat device for the Famicom, which was kind of limited because you couldn't search for codes. Sega Saturn again. So here's the Pro Action Replay 4 Max, this one right here, and that's the box. And it originally cost about 5,000 yen, so not so expensive. And here's the games that are compatible with it, and the Game Boy devices. So it's basically compatible with all the Game Boy devices. Original Game Boy Pocket and Game Boy Color. Oh, sorry, did I show the back? Anything on the back? Okay, on the back it's just more accessories, worm lights, game cases. I mean, battery packs. Basically anything. They did have a lot of accessories for the Game Boy after Pokemon made it popular again. So here's an ad for the original Super Famicom one, which seems to be expensive nowadays. And Sega Saturn. So here's the Game Boy Advance one, which had already come out. So yeah, when I search for videos on this thing, a lot of Game Boy Advance hits come up, which is a bit frustrating too. There seems to be a big lack of documentation for the original Game Boy versions of the Action Replay. So that's what this video is about. Okay, well this is just an ad for the Action Replay magazine. And, it's listings of codes. So yeah, for a lot of these devices, magazines were the only ways you could actually add codes in without finding them yourself. Because you could not transfer codes via computer or anything like that for a lot of these devices. You have to enter them manually yourself. This one, however, you could transfer it via computer. So the cool thing is, this Action Replay 4 came with a CD with computer software on it that would allow you to, well, not only update the color background of the menu, but also transfer your codes back and forth between your computer. So you could get code updates and transfer them from computer to here. And also, this device does save states in Game Boy games, so you can copy your save states to the computer and keep a library of them. And that was pretty awesome. So I actually used this when I first bought this. Now the only downside is this works on Windows 98 or Millennium Edition only. So that's late 90s. Once I got a Windows XP computer, this would no longer even work. It just wouldn't even work. I think the main reason is that this used, if I'm not mistaken, a parallel port connection to the Game Boy. So from Windows XP, parallel port direct access was severely limited. So it just stopped working altogether. All right. So finally, here are the instruction manuals and code books. Not too bad. It's kind of thick full of codes for this device. And so, well, you've seen this already. It's got a list of the functions for this thing, what the menu is supposed to look like, how to search for codes, yada yada yada. And here's a picture of the software. Of course, it's all in Japanese. You could probably download an English version, but you have to set your parallel port settings, as you can see here. It's got these buttons like that, but I think there was a more direct menu in the computer. Yeah, and then this one is updated as of 2001, so February 2001. Or sorry, no, we can see here July 2002. So you can actually, it looks like here you can download some game endings from Daytel's website, and that was pretty awesome too. And so here's the code listings. Wow, just a bunch for a whole lot of games. Both original Game Boy, black and white Game Boy, and Game Boy Color. So you didn't even have to do all the searching for yourself. And the best thing about both this Action Replay 4 and this Exterminator Z, Exterminator Z, is they have flash storage, so you can enter your codes and then it stores them, it saves them permanently on here. So you don't have to re-enter them all the time. You can just select them from a menu. So that was great, and that's why this one here is pretty limited and sucks, because you enter them freshly every time. So that's enough waffling from me. I will now get into this guy's menu. So now we're going to search for codes the more comfortable way on real hardware using the Action Replay 4. And so here's the main menu that scrolls in, and there's just a few options to turn on and off the scrolling and the sound. And then there's the code listing, which has codes that I entered and the ones that were pre-existing. If you hit A, you can choose which codes you want on or off. You can turn those on and off individually. And if you hit select, you can delete that code listing or add a new code, or edit an existing code. And then when you hit set, that turns on the codes for that game. You have to do that before the codes are activated, actually. So we're going to go search for codes for a different game, not Super Mario Land, so we turn codes off. And so this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 on the Game Boy. So what we're going to search for in this one is Infinite Life, just really quickly. And it's a lot faster process than the other Action Replay ones, as you'll see. So we have Full Life, and hit the Action Replay button, and so here's the menu. You can do code search, or go back to the game, take a save state, or read a save state. So we're going to do code search, and you can do numerical search or multi-search, which are the last two options here. So we do multi-search and go down to, well, return to the menu, restart search, or search start. So we'll do start. It reads all the RAM, 8K, and it shows that up top. Then we go back to the game. Hit the action replay button again, and you could have a lot more options now. You can restart the search. You can search for values that are bigger than before, or values that are less than before. You can search for values that are different or the same, and then view the results. So right now we didn't get hit, so we're searching for the same. Nothing's changed. And so that narrows it down a little bit. Now we've got to get ourselves hit by an enemy. Not quite yet. Okay, we've moved around and then search for the same values again, and that brings it down a bit. So this is just to get rid of oscillating values. Now we got hit by an enemy, so we hit the action replay button again, and now we search for different values that are different. Or sorry, less. Less than is easier too. And that really brings it down just to 100 or so results. All right, hit the action replay button again, and it's the same as last time, so we hit same. And that should really cut it down. Oh, it cuts it down a little bit. Get hit again. Okay. Oh no, I pressed the button while I was getting hit, so I shouldn't do that. There. Now we search for less again, less than. And it's down to 1 result, so that's our code. So we go down to view results. And this screen actually on the Action Replay 4 is buggy. It doesn't show all the digits in the code, and the controls are strange on it too. But anyway, you can see here, this is what we found at address C14C. It's a life bar value. So it's at 3 right now, and bring it up to, I think, 7, and start the game. Go back to the game. Okay, 7 was the wrong one. You see it's screwed up the bar down at the bottom, so no, let's change it. Probably 6. And we'll bring it down to 3 and see what it looks like now. Okay, the bar is still screwed up, so we better reset the game. Yeah. Yeah, reset. Okay, so we start the game with 3 life bars, so the code is working. Now we just set it back to 6, and we will, well, it'll be full. We'll have infinite energy. And that's that. So, full life energy. And so yeah, this Action Replay 4 lets you search for cheat codes without even interrupting the game, so that's a lot better. Yeah, we have infinite life, so we are set. So next we're going to search for differences in an old game like Tetris to see how we can cheat in this one. So we're going to search for the different block types without really knowing what value they have. So, well, we're lucky we get a long block right away. And so, well, that's going to be our baseline. Multi-search, search start. And go back. And it's going to be the same as it moves around, so we'll just do same, just to get rid of some of the values. Just a few. Alright, rotate the block, and hopefully some value should change too. Now, in some games it might be the same value, whether it's rotated or not, but in this game it is definitely a different value. So we rotate it again, and we're down to only 8 data values to find for our blocks in Tetris. All right, so it looks like it's stuck at 8 results. And I'm not sure which one it is, but 8A, B, F, maybe, but that one that's OA, O1, OA, something C2, looks like it's probably, counts up from 0 for the various Tetris blocks. So we'll just play the game, go to a different block, search for that value. It's different, of course. And it brings down to 6. It's different. Oh, it's down to 2. Okay, so I think we found our block. It's 011A or 0110. Well, we're not going to turn on the codes just yet. We want to get that long block one more time, so let's play the game badly. All right. So we could also search for these, but it doesn't matter. We've got our long block coming up. And so just before, well, it's always going to be stuck at 2, so let's set that down. Okay, now we've got our long block. What does it look like now? So it's different. Look at the results. All right, 0108 or 0118. It could be one of those two. Go back to the game, rotate it, rotate the block. Now search again, view the results again. And is now 0109. So that's probably it. If we hit select, we can see it's 01, 09, 03, C2. So address C203 has our current block and its orientation also. And actually it's now frozen in the vertical orientation. So, well, this is a little bit dishonest, but this is how you can cheat in Tetris. This is how you can get a million Tetrises in a row and see the ending. So there you go. Don't feel good about yourself if you finish the game this way, but you can at least see the ending in Game Boy Tetris. And yeah, it works totally well. So you can see that Tetris block is still frozen, even in the menu. So yeah, set it to, like level 9, height 5. And you can see the ending in the B game this way, just by moving the Tetris blocks really fast. Ah, I screwed up. Okay, well. Okay, goes to show that cheaters never prosper. So next we're going to look at the save state functionality in the Action Replay 4. And this is actually just like an emulator. It'll save the entire game's state. So you can restart in any game at any point, providing that the save state and the game don't crash. So from here, I guess, this is an easy game, but imagine you're playing a really difficult game. You get to a hard point, so you go to this. This says memo, take a memo of the game save state. And if you die here, you can just restart from the save state. So let's die on purpose, play really badly. Yeah, get killed. Bye-bye Mario. So you hit the Action Replay button again and go to read save state, and you can see the game's name is there. So the cartridge has to be the same cartridge that you took the save state from, or else it's not going to work. So yeah, there we go. We restarted the game from the save state spot. So I've loaded up Operation C on a flash cartridge, a Game Boy flash cartridge, and you can jump right to the ending in a game like this. So I've prepared one from before. So you start up the game and hit the Action Replay button. And I've got a save state from before. And yeah, so the title is not the title of the actual game, it's the flashcard's internal header title. But we can jump right to the ending this way, as you can see. So that's a pretty handy thing to have. In this day and age of emulators and portable game systems with emulators and save states, it's really not needed. But I guess in the late 90s or early 2000s, if you wanted to stay away from emulators on your computer, and use real hardware, this was a great way to save your game and resume it wherever you left off for games that didn't have passwords or battery backup. So there you go, enjoy the ending. Hopefully you won't get a copyright strike for any of these game songs. So the Action Replay 4 also works with Game Boy Color games, and it has its own color menu. It's kind of pretty like this. And actually from the Windows 98 software, you can actually change that background to your own images. And so here's just the game list of the games that I added. We have Zelda DX in there now, so I'm just checking, are there any cheat codes for Zelda DX? No, these are just the Zelda Oracle games for the Game Boy Color. So codes off. So here's the game. From here I'm going to show the Action Replay menu, but I'm not going to do any code searching really. So here's the same menu as before. You can do a multi-search, but it'll read all 32K of the Game Boy's RAM, so that takes a bit longer to search for, as you can see. So we're not going to do that. Next, we're going to go back and read a save state. Let's try to do it. So before, Contra on that flash cart was in there. Does it work? No, the name is different. So flash cart and Zelda are different names, so you can't do that. So we'll save the save state. Save. Like that. And go back to the game. And if we like lose energy in the game or die or something, boom, like that, we can go back to the menu and go back to where we were, where we saved the game state. So read, and go back to the game, and we are where we left off. So that's useful for Game Boy Color games, which don't have, save RAM or whatever. And that's pretty much what save states are all about on this one. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this video covering the various Action Replay or Exterminator cheat devices for the Game Boy. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.